Hey, John Thacker here with The Real Truth, and I'm here today to talk about the Green New Deal. What is actually in the bill that was proposed to Congress on February 7th? I am just trying to get rid of all the fake news, all the fake bias, and all of the false facts put out in today's media. I will post this into the description if you want to read up more onto this, even though I'll be going through the whole thing today. I won't cover every single thing it says. Now, let's get into it. The resolution. So, I'm just going to go over all of the points put into this. So, we can just talk about the points. Human activity is the dominant cause of observed climate change over the past century. A changing climate is causing sea levels to rise, and it's going to increase basically just natural disasters in general. Global warming at or above 2 degrees Celsius, and pushing it beyond that will cause mass migration, a bunch of money that's going to be lost from this, wildfires that by 2050 will annually burn at least twice as much forest than the years preceding 2019. It lost more than 99% of all coral reefs. 350 million people will be exposed globally to deadly heat stress. Ooh, not a good thing to do. A risk of damage to 1 trillion of public infrastructure and coral reef real estate in the United States. And global temperatures must be kept below 1.5 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrialized levels to avoid the most severe impacts of climate change. And that's going to require these two things: global reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, net zero global emissions by 2050. Whether it's attainable or not, I don't know. Now let's go over this. Whereas the United States is currently experiencing several related crises, with life expectancy declining. That's a big one, especially in America. While basically needs such as clean air, clean water, healthy food, and adequate health care, housing, transportation, and education are inaccessible to a significant portion of the United States population. A 4-decade trend of wage stagnation, deindustrialization, and anti-labor policies that has led to all of these things here. Hourly wages overall stagnating since the 1970s, and despite increased worker productivity, the third worst level of socioeconomic mobility in the developed world before the Great Recession, the erosion of the earning and bargaining power of workers in the United States, and inadequate resources for public sector workers to confront the challenges of climate change at local, state, and federal levels. And now, it's going to go over income inequality since 1920s. The top 1% earners occurring 91% of gains, a large racial wealth divide amounting to a difference of 20 times more wealth between the average white family and the average black family, and a gender earnings gap that results in women earning approximately 80% as much as men at the median. Now it's going over the top 1% having all the money, black people and white people not having as much income as each other, income equality between them, and income equality between women and men. Now, let's go back to environmental things. Whereas climate change constitutes a direct threat to national security, now it's saying that it's a big threat to the United States because it's going to impact economic, environmental, and social stability. And by acting as a threat multiplier. Now, whereas the House of Representatives recognizes that a new national social, industrial, and economic mobilization on a scale that is not seen since World War II and the New Deal era is a historic opportunity to create millions of good high wage jobs in the United States, provide unprecedented levels of prosperity and economic security for all people in the United States, and to counteract systematic injustices. Now, therefore, be it. Now, resolved. That is the sense of the House of Representatives, that it is the duty of the federal government to create a Green New Deal, to achieve net zero greenhouse emissions through fair and transitions, to create millions of good high wage jobs, invest in infrastructure, to secure for all people in the United States for generations to come. These things: clean air, water, climate and community resiliency, healthy food, access to nature, and a sustainable environment, and to promote injustice, and to promote justice and equity by stopping current, preventing future, and repairing historic oppression of indigenous peoples and all of these different communities of people that are here. The goals described in paragraphs A through E of paragraph 1, referred to in this resolution as the Green New Deal goals, should be accomplished through a 10-year national mobilization, referred to in this resolution as the Green New Deal mobilization, that will require the following goals and projects. So they're saying this is going to be necessary. Building resiliency against climate change related disasters, such as extreme weathers, including by leveraging funding and providing investments for community defined projects and strategies. So basically funding is what they're going to do. Repairing and upgrading the infrastructure in the United States, including all these things. Eliminating pollution, guaranteeing universal access to clean water, by reducing the risks posed by climate impacts, and by ensuring that any infrastructure bill considered by Congress addresses climate change. Meeting 100% of the power demand in the United States through clean, renewable, and zero-emission energy sources, including dramatically expanding and upgrading renewable power sources, and by deploying new capacity. Kind of vague there. Building or upgrading to energy efficient distributed and smart power grids, ensuring affordable access to electricity. Upgrading all existing buildings in the United States, every building, and making new buildings to achieve maximum energy efficiency, water efficiency, safety, affordability, comfort, durability, including through electrification. Spurring massive growth. Clean manufacturing. The United States is removing pollution, greenhouse emissions, manufacturing industry. So basically getting rid of all the CO2 emissions from manufacturing and making them renewable energy factories, or at least using that energy. Working collaboratively with farmers, ranchers to get rid of pollution and greenhouse gases by doing all these things. Supporting family farming, investing in sustainable farming and land use practices that increase soil health, and by building a more sustainable food system that ensures universal access to health and food. Well, healthy food. So overhauling transportation systems to remove pollution and CO2 emissions. It's saying it's technologically feasible And they're going to invest in zero emission vehicle infrastructure and manufacturing, clean, affordable, and accessible public transit, and high speed rails. Mitigating and managing the long term and adverse health, economic, and other effects of pollution and climate change. Giving funding to community defined projects and strategies. Removing greenhouse gases from the atmosphere and reducing pollution by restoring natural ecosystems through proven low-tech solutions that increase soil carbon storage. Restoring and protecting threatened, endangered, and fragile ecosystems through locally appropriate and science-based projects that enhance biodiversity and climate resiliency. Cleaning up hazardous wastes and abandoned sites, and basically just building over them, making use of them. Identifying other emission and pollution sources and creating solutions to remove them. And promoting the international exchange of technology, expertise, products, funding, and services. And wanting to make United States the leader of climate change. Well, changing the climate in the way of decreasing CO2 emissions. A Green New Deal must be developed through transparent, inclusive consultation, collaboration, and partnership with frontline vulnerable communities, labor unions, worker cooperatives, civil society groups, academia, and businesses. To achieve the Green New Deal goals and mobilization, a Green New Deal will require the following goals and projects. Providing leveraging in a way that ensures that the public receives appropriate ownership and returns on investment, adequate capital through community gains, public banks, and other financing. Technical expertise, supporting policies and other forms of assistance to communities, organizations, federal, state, and local government agencies, and businesses working on the Green New Deal mobilization. Semicolon. Ensuring that the federal government takes into account the complete environmental and social costs and impacts of emissions through existing laws, new policies and programs, ensuring that frontline and vulnerable communities shall not be adversely affected. So, they're planning to make new policies other than this one. So this is just a good basis to set all of the things it's talking about on. And it's going to build off of that in the future. Providing resources, training, quality education, higher education communities, to focus on a frontline, vulnerable communities, so that all people may be full and equal participants in the Green New Deal mobilization. Making public investments in the research and development of new clean and renewable energy technologies and industries. Directing investments to spur economic development. Deepen and diversify industry and business and local and regional economies and build wealth and community ownership while prioritizing high-quality job creation and economic, social, and environmental benefits in frontline and vulnerable communities, and the industrialized communities that may otherwise struggle with the transition away from greenhouse gas-intensive industries. Ensuring the use of democratic and participatory processes that are inclusive of and led by frontline and vulnerable communities and workers to plan, implement, and administer the Green New Deal mobilization at the local level. Ensuring that the Green New Deal mobilization creates high-quality union jobs and pay prevailing wages, hire local workers, offer training and advancement opportunities, and guarantees wage and benefit parity for workers affected by the transition. Guaranteeing a job with a family-sustaining wage, adequate family and medical leave paid vacations, and retirement security to all people of the United States. Guaranteeing and strengthening and protecting the right of all workers to organize, unionize, collectively bargain free of coercion, intimidation, and harassment. Strengthening and enforcing labor, workplace health and safety, anti-discrimination, and wage and hour standards across all employers, industries, and sectors. Sectors enacting and enforcing trade rules, procurement standards, and border adjustments with strong labor and environmental protections. To stop transfer of jobs and pollution overseas, and to grow domestic manufacturing in the United States. Ensuring that public lands, waters, and oceans are protected and that eminent domain is not abused. Obtaining the free, prior, and informed consent of indigenous peoples for all decisions that affect indigenous peoples, and the traditional territories, honoring all treaties and agreements with indigenous peoples, and protecting and enforcing the sovereignty and land rights of indigenous peoples. So, for example, I'm thinking for the whole Alaskan pipeline thing, where they were trying to make it go through this Native American religious place. I'm guessing it's trying to do something about that. Ensuring a commercial environment where every business person is free from unfair competition and domination by domestic or international monopolies, and providing all people of the United States with high quality health care, affordable, safe, and adequate housing, economic security, and clean water, clean air, healthy and affordable food, and access to nature. Well, there you have it. The Green New Deal in its entirety of the policy. What do you think of the Green New Deal yourself? Is it good? Is it bad? Any biases in there? Is it vague? I don't know. Say it in the comments below. We'll talk about it, have good discussions. And I'll see you later. This has been John Thacker with The Real Truth. Check out our Twitter, Instagram, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell button. I'll see you.